2 minutes of subtitles. I mean, not subtitles, but 2 minutes of listening. It's a long time. Jamie?
Yeah? What's up?
I thought you were mopping.
I am mopping.
Get back to work.
You'd put out a statement on Facebook. So you wrote a Facebook post called False Metrics of Success. And it really impacted me because it spoke to a lot about that thing where us as men feel as though earning money and being a provider is the way that we express, is the way that we fulfill our duty as men.
Yep.
And society tells us little else to challenge that notion.
Yep.
And you talked about the conflict that you experienced being a stay-at-home dad, a dad who was homeschooling, who was a primary caregiver for his children, but not able to contribute significantly in a financial capacity.
Yep.
And even though you're winning in this area, like on the dad side of things, got it down.
Yep.
But on the other side of things, that society tells us this is what a man is. There was a little bit of I don't really feel that great about myself. Like
100%.
how, talk to me a little bit about that.
Oh man, bro, it's a deep one, man. It's very, very deep for me, because that feeling of low self-worth while you're doing the most important thing in the world. Here's my children, and I'm investing. Let's use money. I'm investing in that. Boom, boom. And something has told me in a special book that I hold dear to my heart, that investment will bring a return that will yield and yield. And I'm looking at the investment. Obviously, I can't see the return yet. I can't see outside of my room. I'm just investing. But then I'm looking over here, in this side of my life, the finance, and there's nothing there. And I'm getting depressed, though I'm investing over here. I'm looking over here because, still stick with the illustration, there's people around. I'm not talking about anyone specific. It's not anyone specifically. These are my own perceptions from what, in a society we've absorbed these ideas about ourselves. So no one's to blame. So when I use this issue, I'm not talking about anyone to blame. But imagine there's people around and they're going, And that is causing me to look at this, to doubt this investment over here that I'm investing into my kids and children, which will yield a high return on investment. I'm beginning to doubt that, you know what? That's not even as great as, I need to do this though. This is going to validate me.
Yeah.
This is going to validate me. So that conflict was for so long, and that caused me to make a lot of stupid, bad financial decisions, trying to make quick money, trying to do side hustles, staying up really late. So it's a deep one, and it took me a long time to admit that I was depressed during that period of time. It took me a very long time to admit. So there was ups and downs, and thankfully, I was in an environment where people still asking me to preach. So that would kind of pick me up a little bit, because I go back to the word, I read, I study, and I'm in a position where I have to motivate. So it would take me out for a bit. But bro, let me tell you something. Come as soon as I finish, as soon as I go home, I'm back to my behavior again. Like 150. And no one knew this. So on the outward, I'm doing what looks like to give the perception that, man, I'm soaring like an eagle. I'm not soaring, man. My wings are clicked off. Do you know what I mean? I can only soar for 5 minutes. Don't watch me for another 20 minutes. You see, I can't fly for that long. So you're soaring for a little bit, and you hope that people turn away so they don't see that after 5 minutes, man, you're dropping out of the sky.
Yeah.
And the reality was, it was that mind that would bring me back to just sit here worried. Just, man, it was just, a dark, 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 dark time. Just always, and I knew something was wrong. I wanted to come out, and so there was a fight. There was an internal fight, trying to just stop thinking like this, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't help. And my brother, thank be to God, a large part of my coming to terms with analyzing false theology, false ideas, falsehood I call it, was a part of conversation with my brother. Always talking to him because he went through similar thoughts and ideas, and we would talk though and reason this out. And so that's something that could be just, I'm straight. Me and Jonathan, we're straight with each other. We got a very close relationship. So I'd be like, yeah, man, John, man, what you doing? What you saying? John was like, man, I ain't been good this week, man. And then we're just like, yeah, it's true. And then we came to a lot of these epiphanies, our ideas about fatherhood together. And that really helped us, having somebody. And I feel sorry for brothers, man, who say they have brothers around them, but you don't get these conversations. Come on, let's stop pretending. Don't say you're my brother. Don't say we're brothers if you can't at least have one man them to be like, look, blood brethren, like, I ain't looking good today, yeah? Like I ain't feeling it. So this is what happened this week. Do you know what I mean? So it was tough, Jamie, man. It was really, really hard, man. So it's another long story as to what led me to a place that I could be honest and share that Facebook post. But that's the beginning of a journey that has taken me years. I said, I'm fed up now. I said, a part of my recovery, and when I say recovery, I don't mean I'm even there, but a part of me staying on this road to dealing with it is to help others by sharing my journey so that we can have this conversation and reanalyze some ideas that we think are biblical, think are truthful about manhood, and deconstruct them and present something more principled. And yeah, man. So,
and I'm all for that, and I'm glad you had your brother there, like another man who was on a similar journey himself, that you could share those things with. Because I think all too often as men, there's a few things that happen to us. The first is we're not taught the language to articulate some of these things. So
agreed.
From when they're boys, we teach our boys how to be tough and strong and resilient. And resilience is good, but if resilience is the only thing you have, it's a very lonely life. And you're always like with your hard back against the wind. You know what I mean? It's not a healthy thing in the long run.
That's deep, bro.
And sometimes it's okay to just be like, you know what, I need a moment to cry and just be vulnerable, and I need someone to hold me. Can someone hold me? I think we have to teach our boys how to that it's okay to express that. So we don't teach them the emotional language to express themselves, but also society doesn't expect that sort of behavior from men. We expect men to be the ones who lead and push through and, you know, be stoic. Like,
yes,
you know,
yes.
If you're a blubbering mess, like, you know, people tell you to man up, or, you know, pull yourself together and, you know, get over it and that kind of stuff. And I think society is changing from that a little bit now, but it's still prevalent, and I don't think we have the spaces and the people that we can connect with this in those ways. And that's part of why I'm so interested in these conversations, because I think these are the kinds of conversations that people need to hear to understand what men are going through, but also for men to hear, to know, actually, I can have that conversation with someone else.
Yes.
Or actually, what Michael's just said, like, that's me. Like, I'm going through that.
Yeah.
And I can connect with that. So yeah, I think it's important. And I like what you said in the post. You said, my greatest achievement, and still continues to be, was staring me in the face every day. My greatest achievement is my children, healthy, loving children, respectful, bright, and kind. And I battle with that a lot. This whole idea of Because effectively, our kid spends most of her waking hours away from us.
Right.
Other people are the ones who are
Right,
teaching her
right,
stuff.
right.
And, we're at the stage now where we're enforcing discipline.
Right.
And she gets a bit of an attitude, and
Right,
she needs
right.
to go and stand in the corner for a minute or two. She's at that stage where she needs our input.
Right,
and
right.
we don't get enough time with her to really do that. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's a shame that the world just isn't built for us to create better versions of ourselves to come
Right.
after.
Right. I get you, Jamie. How can fathers who've homeschooled their children feel like they haven't spent enough time with them? And this is it. And here's the principle. Are there things, you don't answer this, I'll answer it for myself. I don't want to put you on the spot. Are there things that I've wanted to do, but I haven't done? Yes. And that's where that feeling comes from of I'm not spending enough time. Because every context is different. Every person is different. Every way in which you're going to show your love and attention is different. For my children, it's movie night. If I don't spend movie night with them, I've just rejected the Holy Ghost, right? Aisha's the last one, so she's more bold, right? She's like third child syndrome. I've heard it being said, right? But it's a good thing. I don't discourage boldness in our family, right? She's like, Daddy, don't fall asleep this time. Right, Aisha, I'm not trying to do it on purpose. I'm tired, Come down and I'm out of it. So the question is, I'm with them all the time. But there's things I've promised them. I'm being transparent now just to help out. I'm being transparent when I've said, I'm going to do this. And I haven't done it. I'm going to do this with you. And I haven't done it. That's where that feeling of I'm not doing enough. Because I have a perfect memory of the days where I could have done a little bit more. So here's to round up what I'm actually saying. If you're intentional, anything, bro, I'm guaranteeing if the child is convinced you love them, and what we mean by that is not a sentiment. Children don't know feelings and emotions. They know, Daddy touched me, he's lifting me up. He's giving, like I remember asking my kids, naively, didn't know what they were going to say, at 4 years old. Do you love Daddy? Yeah. Why? Guess what they said? I'm thinking they're going to give me some emotional response. So dumb, man. I was so silly.
Daddy gives me ice cream.
That's exactly one of the answers. Daddy gives me crisp. And I thought, this is a teaching moment. Hold up. They're measuring love by what I do. That's where they're measuring up. So if I don't do for them at the age that they are, they're going to think I don't love them. And that doesn't stop, by the way. If we take this even to older, as we're older, we've heard people say in their 30s, 20s, you don't love me, to their parents. You didn't love me. The parents sitting there thinking, oh, gets offended. What do you mean I didn't love you? And what does the parent say? I did X, Y, Z. Yeah. Now, it's interesting in scripture, or in the Greek language in scripture, the word love in English is translated as love. But in the Greek, there are different literal words to describe which aspect of love it was referring to. Philios, eros, and I think there's two others I can't remember, right? So imagine love is like an orange with segments. And what the child is saying, even though they're now in their 20s and 30s, is you never gave me the entire orange. You gave me segments. But we communicate it like this, our disappointment, you don't love me. But what we were really saying is sometimes is, you never gave me enough hugs.
Yeah.
All I wanted was some hugs. All I wanted was you to talk to me after school. And for that child, if you'd just done that, guess what? It'd been all okay. But in the parent's mind, they're thinking, I've done everything. And it wasn't about you not doing everything. It was about you learning what your specific child needs to feel love. That's it. And you're going to learn that. Your child is unique. There's no one like your child. There's no one like, I've got three, and they're in the same home, completely different. They receive my love in completely different ways. So, Jamie, what I would advise again, this is just, I'm putting my neck out here. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know. I'm not no psychologist, counselor, nothing. But for both of you, you have in your mind little things you want to do. By hook or by crook, like my dad used to say, try and do it. Doesn't matter what it is. It's not about what it is. It's not about the length of time. It's about this is you now showing. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter, and you keep doing that. With the time you have, it doesn't matter that you're working however many hours. Because guess what the child's going to know? Daddy, he books these times. Daddy does this. Daddy does that. And as they grow up, the child understands daddy has to work. But the child knows daddy loves me because daddy takes time out and has done this and has done that. Because you've communicated. Today, I'm coming. Today, I'm doing this with you. Even that children, hey, 10 more minutes. I'm coming. Make them excited. I'm coming. Daddy's coming. It's going to be me for. And he said, I'm sorry, I can only do 30 minutes with you, but this is going to be the best 30 minutes of your life. You make it aside, but you make them expect, Daddy's being intentional with it. Daddy didn't just bring me food. Daddy didn't just, because they don't know what we're thinking. And it's funny, you did say language, and it is, we haven't been taught this. And I've learned this with my children. Tell them how you feel. Tell them why you're bringing them crisps. So I bring them crisps. That's my way of going, I thought about you. So guess what I do? I tell them, hey, don't say Dad never thought about you. Here's your crisps. And I'm a very hard personality. My character's hard. I've learned to laugh. I've learned to be a joker with my kids because I was too hard for the first good couple of years, more than a couple of years. My personality is very tough. And again, that goes to my upbringing. So I've learned to joke. Like today, Isabel came to my room. Daddy, can I use your iPad? So I made a joke in there. I said, do you know what, if I died in here, no one would know? So she started laughing, right? And then, so for me, I use humor to communicate my emotions. I use it all the time, right? So she gets what I'm saying. I'm like, man. So I started joking around saying, I could be here all gagging like, nobody would know, right? You know, just come in here. Now, it's on me really to free myself from the office to go down. But I'm kind of putting it on her a little bit, right? Kind of like, because she's 12. Because they only come in here and ask. But guess what? That's on me. Because I've been here for too many hours. I'm here. So I've said to them, children, I've been here for too long. Let's do our Dantzie Flicks videos. They're like, yeah. They get so excited. So what I realized is that even though I'm at home with them, it's not being here with them. And you think, just because you're here with them, that's going to automatically communicate to them like by osmosis. No, just because they see at your computer, that doesn't translate into Zoom. They know why you're doing that. They have no idea of anything what's going on. Talk to them. Sit down. So, hey, let me explain to you why daddy sometimes spends too much time in the office. So I was just open with them. They're 9, 11, and 12. They're old enough. They can take it. They need to know, right, in their capacity that daddy sometimes worries. Daddy sometimes is working too hard. It's not on you. Right? So I'm being honest with you, children. Yeah. So they go, oh, daddy does love us. Because the little one says, daddy, we're not seeing you no more. You're in your office too long. Eat. That's red alert. I need to take care of that. So let me communicate to her. It wasn't intentional. I love you, baby. You're still the best in the world. You're not better than my job. Blah, blah, blah. I humor them. But I'll be honest with them. Daddy, this is one of daddy's flaws. You know, I'm in here too much. I'm working hard, you know. And then I kind of justify a little bit and say, you see that? When we were going out, when we was out to go out because of lockdown, before lockdown, I was like, remember we went to cinema twice? Remember Nando's? I was like, where did that come from?
Remember all the crisps I bought you?
Yeah, I'm like, where did that come from? I says, when you go to the shop, how many times have I said no? Like in my broke days, how many times I said no? And I never said no. I didn't explain. I said, Daddy's got no money. I'm sorry, ask mommy. Daddy's got no money. Ask mommy. So when I started bringing in my own little income, Daddy, can we have this? And then sometimes I say no because I haven't got paid that day and I haven't got the money in the bank. It's all going out on bills. So I said to them, I can get some, but only under £2 or whatever. There'll be days where I get paid and I want to splash out, bro. I want to splash out on them. I'm like, choose anything. I remember getting paid for a website job. I was so proud. I was like, and literally I said, choose anything you want. And it gave me such a good feeling to be able to do that. And I'm clear with them, like, that's when daddy got paid, right?
Yeah.
And I'm teaching them balance. So I try to be intentional as much as I'm not there yet. I don't think I'm ever going to get it and be perfect. We are our worst critics as parents. So I don't know if you got anything from that, but hopefully you
No,
did.
absolutely, absolutely. As you were talking about there, like how kids recognize love, the thing that kind of really stuck out to me is my daughter. She is really interested in reading,
Right.
and sometimes she'll come with her book and she'll say, "Daddy, read a book." And
Yeah.
I do make I am intentional, and I try to take every opportunity I can to say, yes, come, let's read a book.
Right.
And when we do the bedtime routine, we'll read 2 or 3 books, and if I'm feeling extra special today, let's read 5. But in the times when I've had to say, actually, you know what, like, I'm cooking, so I can't read the book for you right now. And every time I see that disappointment in her eyes, and she'll like go elsewhere, she'll go to mommy and say, "Mommy, read a book," or whatever. It burns me. Like, I feel it every time. But I do make a special effort that if I can take myself away from the thing that I'm doing, so like if the food isn't gonna burn, or if I don't need to be on a work call for the next 20 minutes, or whatever the case may be, like if I'm just on my phone, I do try to be intentional with that, because I do see those moments as things that just will pass you by very easily.
Yes, definitely, bro. Definitely.
No money, but I will give you something better. Peter holds the lame man's hand. In the name of Jesus, stand up and walk, Peter says. See the man stand up? Yay! Clap your hands. Thank you, Jesus, thank you. See the man jump? See the man...
I have a few quick fire questions for you.
Cool.
So, what was something about being a stay-at-home dad that surprised you?
Well, that surprised me. How impatient I was.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, man, I had no patience. And just how hard I was. I was very hard. I've got a hard personality. You've heard me preach. It comes out in my preaching. Very passionate, right? When it's for something good, it's like, oh yeah, it's inspirational. But bro, just flip that when it's on the other side. It's equally just as passionate, but on the wrong side. I've got I call it a tendency. I'm not an angry man, or I wouldn't say I got a temper. I don't like communicating it that way, because I don't. But I do have a strong proclivity, right, to lose my temper, and that's still there. So weakness, that's still there. Do you know what I mean? I'm not blowing my head off every so often and whatever. But there were times when I was doing that. Do you know what I mean? When in my 20s and early days of marriage, I have to be open. There was times I was, man. It was like, that's what shocked me, that I'm like, tense all the time, and just, stop that. Stop that. And it wasn't, that was one of the reasons why, in fact, I stopped smacking my children as a disciplinary thing. I just stopped. I was like, no, this is not healthy. You're not under control. I don't care what anybody says, right? It's not about the smacking. What mindset do you have while you're doing it? Don't tell me you're calm. Foolishness, man. You're angry, it's easy. No. And so for me personally, I was like, no. I can't do this with this character, with this thought process. I have to, and so it forced me to calm down and have a plan before the crisis. And and so that's what surprised me, just how impatient I was.
Yeah.
You said quick fire, so I'm going to try and answer them quickly.
No, I resonate with that actually, and the whole thing about smacking. We didn't smack our daughter, but there's a thing I do sometimes where, like, if she was being extra defiant, I just like flick her ear. Right. Like, just to kind of shock her out of the behavior. But there was a moment. She kind of lost her rag, and she's quite stubborn, our child. like you can't make her do the thing through force.
Right.
And like I'd flicked her ear, and she said no, I'm not coming. And I was like, I was so angry, but in that moment I caught myself because I thought, okay, the only thing that's going to happen here is I'm going to escalate my behavior.
Right.
So the flick becomes something else. And now I'm not flicking because she's being defiant. I'm flicking because I'm angry. And
There
what
you
lesson
go.
is that teaching her?
That's it.
And so I made a decision in that moment. Actually, you know what? Let's not do that again.
Right.
So I'm not going to flick your ear again.
Right.
And because she's got language now, I can talk to her and discipline her in other ways. But I get it.
Definitely, bro.
So another question for you: do you ever feel like the moms, and you kind of mentioned this a little bit, but has it changed at all? Do you feel like moms don't take you seriously as a dad?
Yeah, I don't think people really believe it. They hear it, but they don't believe it. Because no one, you don't get, even still when they hear it, I don't know, Michael, they're still going to Jay and asking him for the advice. Still, they really don't believe that, no, I literally did everything. And it's only those who are close to me who had the opportunity to sit down and hear me to like, rah, you really did go through the trenches. You've done the whole 9 yards. What the average mother or even single mother would single mother does more, in fact, because they don't get no reprieve, so to speak, right? But in a partnership situation where there's a mum and a dad, I was doing what usually the mother's doing. So they don't really, they hear it. Like,
But they don't really take it on board.
Nah, I don't think so, because I haven't got that sense. Like, if a woman says homeschooling, it's like, wow, you see people bowing down almost, like, wow. Nah, I've never got that sense at all. The questions, how did you do it? How did you cope? But what is good, I've got that from the guys. They're like, right, mate. So I've got fathers coming up to me, or potential fathers, or young men in relationships. Mate, how did you? So men have praised me, like my own inner circle. The Fullers, the Clarks, the Laves. When we was in Preacher Place and we were busy, they were scratching their head. Like, and Jonathan went through the same thing, going, how are you guys? You're married, because no one was married at the time in the early years of Preaching Place, and I don't think hardly anybody was. There may be one or two might be caught in. I don't like. Yeah, there might have been, but no one's married. So they was like, Mike, how are you doing all of this, looking after 3 children? So they kind of helped as well, because they would beat me up big, like, bro, Mike. Because they would come, like, sometimes we had sleepovers where the whole team would come, or in the other house in Birmingham, and so they would see my interaction, and they would see me coping, kind of thing, like, they would, like, Andrew would laugh at this. So my one of my discipline tactics I got off Jonathan, because I was like, I'm not smacking no more, this ain't working, we need another way, right? So I used the naughty step. And I didn't want to use a naughty step. I was like, that's from what's that woman's name? Yeah, man. Yeah. It was just such stereotype that people can't control their kids. Naughty step, naughty corner, right? So we demonize that in the black community. Naughty step. What's that, man? It's for white people. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, it works. Do you know what I mean? So, what was that woman? She had a show.
Was it Super Nanny?
Super Nanny. That's what I used to say to Joe. That's Super Nanny foolishness, right? Really, it's just pride, and you just Anyway, so I was going through that stage, but eventually I conceded. Tried it, couldn't believe it. Worked wonders. So the point is, wherever we were, I had a naughty step. So even when I was at a friend's house, I'd be like, Isabel, naughty step. And so they would see that and be like, rah, Mike's kind of like got things on the wraps.
Yeah.
he brought, and you'd be like, he brought the naughty step with him. Oh my days. So they were getting this. They weren't just hearing me say it, they were seeing me implement what I'm sharing with them privately, what we're discussing. They were seeing it. So it weren't just theory business. And then when they would spend time with us, me and Janine, they're interacting with us as a family. So yeah, they bigged me up big time, and I get a different response from men, from young men. They see us like, and I think that's normal anyway. But that was good. Like they really see it as a big thing. Younger men who not even in relationships saying, you know what, man, that's a different aspect. So they're seeing a different way to consider of not just parenting, but just maybe homeschooling if you want, if that's the right thing. It's up to you. There were a lot of nuances. It takes a lot of self-analyzation, what you're doing. You're dealing with the human mind effectively. And this is not an easy work. If you think that just some one little two text, one little two little passage is going to make you... No. And every child, every person that is born into the world is so unique. The way I deal with Isabel, I can't deal with Aisha the same way. The way I deal with someone, I have to deal with him differently because he's a boy. Completely different. And I've had to learn. I'm learning that every day. So,
yeah, I hear that. Here's a challenging question for you.
all right.
Have you ever regretted it? Have there been moments on this journey where you're like, I kind of wish I didn't do this?
Oh, yeah, man. Loads of times. Yeah. Yeah. Because, the early days, that regret came in the form of, man, if I had time, I could be rich right now. If I was only doing this, if this opportunity, I could have done this, I could have done that. And that was unhealthy because that spilled over into how I was treating my children. How I'd react, it'll come out. You see, why? The reason why you're getting angry is because you feel that they shouldn't be here in some... But this is a subconscious thing. Obviously, no parents projecting that onto their children willfully. But, hey, if you don't deal with your own issues, it's going to come out. It's going to spill over, whether we like it or not. So it's a hard thing to admit, but it will spill over. So, yeah, man, there were days I regretted making that decision. And I would say that to Jay. Not in those words, but I'd say... I've used it as a weapon. Like, hey, I stayed home. I was the one who stayed home. Like, I didn't go work and make myself into something, and that wasn't nice, and that wasn't right. Because there's another discussion, but I didn't know she was going through her struggles equally by feeling that she was failing her children by not being there, and because there was a time we weren't communicating because we didn't know what we were going through. It wasn't like we didn't want to talk. But I'm not telling her how actually, thank you, Lord, you made me remember. The psychology as to why I didn't communicate Ginny my feelings, and this is a deep one. My mum made certain decisions. My mum's not a bad mum, very, very good mother. She loves us. But she made certain decisions in her early days of after separating from my dad, leaving us with other people to look after us. And my mum had some wild days. Went clubbing, and left us with friends and with a family friend we called Uncle, grown up Uncle, right?
Yeah.
And in those early days, we thought we'd be going home at a certain time. No, you're not. You're staying here. That went on for a good while. This disappointment. Now, that affected us very negatively. Me and Jonathan growing up. Thankfully, it didn't last forever. We got to a certain age where we could go home by ourselves with a key around our neck. Right, those days we don't open the door. Right, turn off the light, stay in the sitting room. Right, those kind of days where how many black families had to do that? Single mom, hey man, you had to do that. Right, do you know what I mean? You couldn't say anything because social services and all that stuff. Right, thankfully nothing happened to us. Well, okay, look, I'm here today. Tell the story, right? But enough people did that, right? And it's a survival thing, right? So anyway, and bro, I felt that if I admitted I needed rest, I'm failing my kids. I felt, because Jay would say that. She would say, Mike, I need rest. Mike, I need to take a break. I want to go out with my friends. I literally projected onto her what I was feeling. And I literally was convinced, you're abandoning our children. Why you want rest for? They've come into this world. We don't need rest. We should never need rest. We got to look after them non-stop. Like, it was really extreme the way I was thinking, but that thinking was connected to my perception of just saying I need a break, because I didn't know what was going on when my mum was leaving us. She needed a break. it was an abandonment, but guess what? The effects were the same. At the time, you felt abandoned because the child is not being communicated with. The child
Yeah.
not being told what's happening. You just left. Is mommy coming? No. What? We got to stay here again and blah, blah, blah. So I carried that for a good while, man. Not admitting that I need a break. Not admitting that it's hard. So literally, it's kind of like you just took the emotions and just went, right, put you in this cupboard. And you know when you're trying to close a suitcase that's nearly full, you just, and you will shut no matter what. And you shut it, and you know your suitcase is bursting to open at the seams, ready to burst open.
Yeah. No,
So that went on for a good while, feeling like yeah. So then when I then admitted it, I went to the other extreme of feeling what you asked me. Yeah, I feel like I'm regretting this. Instead of took me a while to kind of come center, to kind of deal and manage my emotions. That it was a bit difficult. I needed it was, and in fact, God somehow. It's a long story how me and Jay came to a place. I could tell her how I was feeling. She told me how she was feeling. It was like, no way, we were going through. It's like we were just crumbling, just struggling, and that's why I say, look, God exists. If He didn't exist, we wouldn't be here, because somehow He kept us together. Somehow, our struggles brought us in a closer place together, and where we went to a crisis in terms of just as individuals, not in the marriage, but as individuals, where it's like she had to leave work, and then I'm like, well, what's happening? And then she's telling me what's happening, and then it's like, let me tell you this quickly, Jamie. We was watching a TV program. She won't mind me sharing this because I've shared this before, and you always got to check, right? And they were talking about postnatal depression. I'm watching a TV program. Ginny loves watching these programs about child rearing and births and whatever. So I'm sitting there watching. She's watching it. Woman's going through the symptoms of postnatal depression. So I turned to Jay and I says, Janine, do you think that's because it just matched up with things we went through, certain things that her behavior, certain arguments, certain reactions, certain ways I was reacting to her when she said certain things, and certain ways she was feeling. Like I was like, that sounds like everything we experienced as a couple. So I said, Jay, do you think? And it was weird because she turned and goes, yeah. And that's how we came to the knowledge through a TV program that she'd experienced postnatal depression. It was really surreal and weird because, like, it wasn't a sermon, it wasn't someone we talked to, it was a TV program. And the fact she said yes, it made me just go, she didn't realise? And then that opened up a conversation. And then she started to play back things in her mind, and we was talking, and then there's other things. But yeah, so it very, very interesting, man. God really has kind of, I can't regret it.
Yeah.
Because it shaped who I am, and it's shaping us, and it's experience that we can pass on to others and share. Like, thank you, Jamie, for giving me this grand privilege that I can share this, that I know at least one person, hopefully more, will just take one little sentence at least and go, that will help their relationships, whether you're married or not, it don't matter, or your future relationships, do you know what I mean, to be that little bit much better, or relationship with your children, or even maybe, I don't know, somehow with the parents, or some positivity, hopefully someone will glean something from this, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And like what you shared there, like that's such a deep thing, the whole postnatal depression thing. My wife used to work in perinatal mental health services, so
right.
the people that she would see were women who were either pregnant or had given birth up to 6 months 6 months prior, but were dealing with a mental health condition, one of which is postnatal depression. And it's a really, really difficult situation for moms to go through, but also dads as well. And that was actually going to be the next question I was going to ask. I was going to ask, how did this being a stay-at-home dad and this whole experience, how did that affect your relationship? But yeah.
Yeah. I would say it affected our relationship. Let me try and divorce it for a little bit. My response to the situation is what affected our relationship badly. Yeah, my response to the situation. So, these feelings of regret, feeling low, feeling like I'm not doing enough, and then because I didn't know, no. That's gonna sound like I'm justifying my responses. I wish I could have responded better to my wife at times when she'd reacted in certain ways I was just confused about. What it like, bro, literally. And when your wife's personality is nowhere near like, passionate or like, argumentative, it's even worse. Like you might go, my wife can stand up to me when she wants to. Do you know what I mean? Some women are like that. Toe for toe. What? Don't chat to me that way. Don't chat to me that way. Do you know what I mean? My wife's not like that. Do you know what I mean? She's not a pushover,
Yeah.
but she's not like that verbally. Like, she ain't gonna do what I say if she don't wanna do it. She don't do that. But verbally, she ain't gonna go toe to toe. She ain't got that personality. So when you then see emotional responses like over exaggerated and you're just like, what is going on? Like, that's why I say I can only thank God, because I didn't know what's happening. So I'm over spiritualizing it in the sense of I don't know what's happening, so let me go to God to pray. I say that meaning if I knew what's happening, I would have definitely sought some counsel. Do you see? But because I had no name for it, like I couldn't, if you don't know what's happening, you don't know who to turn to, where to turn to, you just like, so me was just, Lord, help me. But then there was times where I wasn't patient enough. Do you see what I mean? And I'm really regretful for that. That's why I have to just thank God for my wife, because she'd always forgive, like we'd always result, she'd forgive. I'm sorry, mate. Yeah, I'm sorry too. And, but how did, man, it's so deep, because this is why we have to be honest, transparent, because her telling me that I'm suffering from this, or I'm going, it calmed me down. That showed me, okay, I do love my wife, because that literally was like, no, I'm going to be extra careful now. When you didn't know, you think it could be just, she's having an attitude problem. Now it and so that helped me resolute. You're going to change, brother. You're going to change, you big head. I said that to myself. I'm hard on I've got that. I need a hard talk to. I don't need it PC. Don't tell me PC. Tell me as it is. That's why I need that. So I needed to know, and that helped her as well be more patient with me when she wasn't seeing me, quote unquote, do what I'm saying I'm gonna do. Meet certain milestones in my business, whatnot, or sit in my room, I'm not doing much. She's like, but I see you doing this, why are you not? And I had to be honest with her, like, this is what struggling someone who struggles looks like, Jay. So I'd be joking. I'm joking about, I'm like, this is what someone who's doesn't feel like they can do stuff, Jay. This is what it looks like. And it would puzzle her, because she's like, but I see you preaching before people, I don't get it. I'm like, well, that's kind of different. Because in that scenario, I know God is with me. In this scenario, it seemed like it's on me. Skills, learning sales, doing this, it seems like it's on me. Nothing that I've been taught. There's no one that I'm not saying there's no one I can go to. No one I felt, who do I ask to help me, support me? So I've had to literally graft and teach myself, watch YouTube videos, buy courses, do this, analyze this. And when you're doing that all by yourself, not knowing it's going to work, not believing it's going to, and you already don't have the confidence that you can do any of this stuff, it stifles your growth and your humanity. So my reaction to the situation, it didn't help for the first couple of years of our marriage. It didn't really help at all. The only saving grace was I'm intentional of always saying sorry. So I don't want to give the idea to anybody that, oh, we just no. It's not issues. It's you don't say sorry. You're not saying sorry. You know, when men complain about their wives, I've been straight with some men who confide in me. I'm like, I want a simple question. Did you say sorry? Rolling. Oh, okay. But then you're complaining, and you wonder why she's now giving you attitude, and she's bringing up something 2 months ago because you're not saying sorry. It's a different case, different kettle of fish. If they're not forgiving you, that's fine. That's their business. But can you be surprised if you blow up like a man can? And rah, some men are not like that. That's not your personality. But a lot of men are. Rah, you're going all mad, and then all of a sudden, next week, you want your woman to trust when she's wired emotionally. She's going to be looking, going, are you going to blow up at that again, though?
And this safe?
Are you exactly, bro? These are deep things we have to, for those of us who have this personality and who's made these kind of mistakes continually. Men are baffled. Why is she not being affectionate, bro? Why is she not? Well, okay, how many times has she ever blown up like that at you? No. And even if she did, you're not threatened by it, brother. You need to understand. A big man can be shot at you, and you're just like, whatever. Not a woman. You do that, and there's something else going on in her mind, and you have no idea what her relationship was with her father or lack of. So that triggers things. Come on, think. And it's those things I had to really take stock consequences and say, it's because, yes, okay, forgiveness. Yeah, we're not talking about that right now. That's great. We know God forgives. We know your woman forgives you. But guess what? Trust built over time. It's built over time.
Gone in an instance, yeah.
Yep, exactly. And that's the hardest thing to deal with. It's gone. You have to build it over time and be consistent over time to build it back up where they can feel safe and confident that you ain't just gonna blow your head off when they ain't done something you don't like. It's embarrassing, but I have to admit it because I can't move on and I can't quote unquote get the victory if I don't say, yeah, man, didn't deal with it too good. Not at all. And that's why I love God, because my behind don't deserve the woman that I've got. I don't deserve the 3 children I have. I don't deserve the home that I'm in. I don't deserve the computer I have in front of me. I don't take none of these things for granted because the mistakes I've made, God has been good to teach me, work with me, still working with me now. I haven't graduated. I don't want to feel like I've graduated because then I'll get lazy. I want to keep fighting and learning. And I'm still learning. We're learning about each other. I'm learning about my children. How can I respond better? How can I do better? And that's why I try to joke a lot. And it helps. It actually helps. Even when they've done something silly, I just joke about it.
Yeah.
And then, but still talk a bit firm, but make them feel like it's not that bad. So I kind of mix it up. I'm like, you shouldn't have done that, you know? And I see their face and I'm just like, why are you going to do that, man? And then they look at me and they kind of laugh and feel, okay, daddy's... Because they're children. They have to be treated with such tender care. And I haven't done well in that area. So, yeah, it was tough, man.
You know, I'm thinking, like, as you mentioned that just then, I was just thinking about growing up and the times where I really knew I did wrong with my parents wasn't when they got angry with me. It wasn't when I got licks. It was when I felt their disappointment. And I was like,
bro. This is it. We've all been there. And you're so right. And that's why I treat my children with that same respect, me knowing that, hold up, they're at the age now where I literally can talk to them more. And as they get older, like I asked them, I said, okay, let me ask you something. And I said, do you think what you did was right? No, daddy. Okay, what do you think you should have done? This, daddy. All right. What have I always taught you? God is gracious. Well, guess what? So is your dad. I'm like, I'm not even going to punish you. You know what? Because you're already punishing yourself. But what I am going to do is this. And I always try to implement discipline after the second time I've said. So I never implement discipline straight away. Never. Because if it's something new, you've never done before, or you don't know what the terms, you're not going to... I'm just being reactionary. So if it's something you... Like, let's say... You took something you shouldn't have. But I've never said to you, don't take that. I don't assume, you know, you shouldn't have to. They're kids. What do they know? Yeah. You have to teach them the boundaries. You didn't do your job of teaching what the boundaries were. So technically they haven't broken any rules, have they? You're just upset that they touched your stuff. So get it clear, what are you upset about? That they did wrong or they touched your stuff? I'm like, all right, Lord. Okay, Lord. All right. So I say, don't do it again. When it's something they know, and they say, well, why did you do that? What happened? I try to talk to them and get them to realize. And when there's times where they're just not listening, and I've warned them 3-4 times, then I say, right, do that again, and you ain't X. And I always follow it through. You can ask I'm not boasting myself, or ask my wife. I always follow through. And that's another story why my children respect what I say, because I've always followed through without smacking them, without trying to make them feel afraid. I'm like, no. My job, and here's a deep thought, my job is not to get you to obey me. You're like, huh? Where on earth is Michael going with this? My job is to get you to love what I'm trying to teach you.
Yeah.
That's a whole different ballgame. But the reason why I put it that way, my job's not to get you to obey, because getting you to obey can be done in different means. But that does not guarantee that how you view the instruction. Because I can get you to wash the dishes by threatening you or reward. There's only 2 ways, fear or reward. So you're going to do dishes because of reward, or you're going to do dishes because of fear of punishment, right? Okay. When you leave home or you're old enough where I can't get you to do anything, right? So to speak, okay? 17, 16, 15 years old, even maybe 14, whatever, right? Whatever the age may be that you consider your child an adult, right? Let's say 18.
Yeah.
And they're still living at home. If they don't love they don't love, do you think that I've achieved my goal? No, I haven't. I've equally just as failed, because when they leave the confines of the household, they need to have loved the instructions. How are they going to get to love something? How? That takes time, that takes explanation, that takes us going over the lesson over and over and over. And a lot of parents haven't even come to that realization. They think it's outward obedience. So, because I see my child good, he got A's at school, but you've talked to that child, and this happened. I've talked to their young person, they're not happy. But guess what? Outwardly speaking, bro, they don't smoke, they don't drink, they don't do anything wrong in their life because they're afraid of doing anything wrong, right? They're only just scared, but they don't even love the situation that they're in. They don't love all the rules, but because they haven't got a relationship. Why can't we have the best of both worlds? Which is where the outward obedience is not something done because they're afraid of punishment or they just want to get a reward. They see and understand the reasons why they're doing it. And that's a hard thing, because it takes patience. Yeah. Talking again and again and again and again.
Oh, man. That's so deep, and I wish we had more time to unpack it. But that's such a deep thing. There's this it's been a while since I've been in the office, but there's this kind of push-pull thing as a means to motivate people.
Okay.
And it's essentially a fancy way of saying carrot and a stick. So you can either push someone, like you can use drivers to make them do the thing.
Right.
Or you can have them buy into the journey with you, and the reason for them participating in it is because so you pull them along.
Wow.
So yeah.
Thank you for telling me that, because I didn't know that was something. I thought, this is a epiphany I've invented, or the Lord has inspired me. But I love when people find those parallels in what I'm saying and give it a name. According to certain disciplines, I love that, because I'm like, it's an actual psychological thing or a process or a practice that I can go and research and go, let me implement this, because that's effectively what I'm trying to do. I'll give you a quick incident. You talked about your child will not do anything she don't want to do. Bro, Aisha must have been, I can't remember, like 2 or 3. So I took the toy. I said, give me the toy. She grabbed it, and you know, as she went to as she saw me go for the toy. It's like so I'm kind of trying to pull this toy away from her. She holding it tight. She's not like 2 or 3. I'm like, so I just went, chop, took the toy, right? She started to cry, but it was an angry cry. It wasn't it was a kind of cry, right? Then I was like, something said, give it back to her. I gave it back to her, and I went, Ta. She stopped crying immediately. Went, smiled, and went, because you know every time a child gives you a toy, you say Ta, you go, well done.
Yeah.
So that had already been set in stone already. So, but it was just a thought. Give it back the toy and ask for the toy. And then she gave it to me, and I was like, so when I grabbed it, you held on tight. When I asked for it, and you knew it was going to please me, you gave it to me. Now my youngest is still the same. If she knows she's disappointed me, bro, Jamie, she's so depressed. Sorry, Daddy. Oh. Now, this is the biggest thing that I didn't grow up with. Now, again, I'm not saying my parents are bad or anything. But, bro, I don't ever remember getting in trouble and ever going to my parents saying sorry of my own volition. Ever. Not once. Never was I sat in my room and then go, I should say sorry to my parents. Bro, never. You got told off. Sometimes it ends up in a smacking. You got smacked. You barred out your eyes for age until you fall asleep. You got a headache in the morning now because you climbed for too long. You wake up. Now watch how deep this is. You forgot about it. But you was not convinced that what happened to you was even right. That doesn't mean it was wrong. It's just you, like you just said, you wasn't brought along on the journey of what was. It's like you drug up.
There's no lesson in it for you.
No. And so I'm saying that to say this. Every one of my children, especially Aisha, she doesn't see it straight away. She takes some time. But you leave her. She goes off. She will come back. Sorry, Daddy. And I always test her. I go, what are you sorry for? Because I don't want to just say sorry like it's an emotional feeling. I says, what are you sorry for? And she says exactly what it was she done. Sorry for being rude, Daddy, to Mummy. I said, Aisha, it's okay. Daddy forgives you. I always will love you. Even though you're being rude, even though you're a big head sometimes, I still love your big head. And I'd be funny again, right? Yeah. And I just say, I love you anyway. This is me. I just don't like sometimes the things you do. So get that straight. And I always remind her, I love you. Nothing you can do is going to stop me loving you. But it's just things I just, we're working through it. Okay, we're getting it. And I try and encourage her because she gets very emotional and sad when she does a mistake. I'm like, don't worry. This is cool. Yeah. We're cool. This is me. And I'll try and remind her, we haven't changed. It's just this thing. I go, let me tell you a secret. And this was it's strange. This has made her really relate to me a bit better and deal with her. So I said, guess what? We're the same. I said, Daddy's just as emotional as you. So now she uses it against me sometimes. Like, Daddy, you put this temper in me. You said I'm the same. So it's your fault anyway. That's what she says, It's like, don't encourage your children to be open if you're not going to expect them to be open. Like, sometimes they say stuff and I'm like, hold back, Mike. You've encouraged this.
I mean, they're not wrong, are they?
No, exactly. Because I encourage them. If you have something to say it to your father. Yeah. I can take it.
That's really beautiful. And I like that. And it's so important for children, for our kids to know deep down that even if they mess up, that doesn't... That they're secure in the relationship that they have with us. I don't know if it was a true thing that actually happened, but I saw someone post something sometime a while back, and they said something along the lines of like, my dad had written a note and gave it to me and told me to just like put it in my sock drawer or something, and the note said something like, just bring me this note as a reminder if something has happened to you and you need help or you need to talk to me about it and you think I might get mad, just bring me this note so that I remember not to get mad and just listen to you. So we don't want you don't want your kids to avoid telling you serious things that they're going through because they're afraid of how you might respond to them. But I have one last question. One last question for you. So, for dads who are currently stay-at-home dads, and for dads who are thinking about being stay-at-home dads, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give?
The biggest piece of advice that I would give: be willing to admit you know nothing. Don't start off with thinking you know anything, because you think you know even some stuff. I'm telling you, you're not going to be ready for the eventualities. You're just not. You're just not. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much you've read. You don't know the personality of your child. So how can you be, quote unquote, ready? You don't even know the personality of your wife in the fullest sense of the word. You don't even know yourself in the fullest sense of the word. So how can you ever think you're ready? Being ready is not more information. There is a place for that. For me, I am overemphasizing purposefully, not to downgrade knowledge, of course not, but in terms of what is far more essential is humility. In the sense of just question everything. Be willing to just question every little nuance you think you know about parenting. Question the discipline ideas you have. If you're not willing to question, you can't be taught new things, because situations will happen to you that will test your philosophical outlook of what to do. And if you're not willing to go, is there another way? You're gonna make serious bad blunders. I don't care. You're going to. And you're dealing with a human precious soul, your own child, making these boo-boos. That doesn't make it. So I have to reevaluate. So I start to reevaluate. I start to re-question. Why is this? What is my job? And I'm questioning all the time, always seeking for better ways to do what I'm even currently doing now. So that's the best advice I would give. Be willing to sit down, have a long think, and question everything. Why do you think that? Where did you get that from? And what's the goal of discipline? And is that goal even the right thing? Like we're talking about false perspective or false metrics. Is that even the right goal? And just question it. And then see if that even is correct. Reason it out. Go to the source that you're getting this and look at it again. Because once you're in the driving seat, there's no more. It's very hard to learn to drive when you're driving. You have to stop and reevaluate. So that's the best advice I would give.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think
Thanks,
that
Jamie.
is that's incredible advice. And I've got just the one. I'm still new in the game. She's only 2, so I'm still learning. I think, and if there's one thing I've learned on this parenting journey, it's that once you think you've cracked it, you've got another thing coming.
Bingo,
they're about
bro.
to flip the switch.
Yeah. All the time. It's a constant test. They test you in ways you didn't even know you could be tested.
I wanna see how rewind when we